Hi there. I'm kind of ashamed of recording these videos because it feels weird now to record after a year. I wrote this point after a month of coming here based on whatever I experienced freshly in this new city, in this new country. I know about these things from a more different perspectives by talking to different people and seeing their experience as well. So I have also added some insight depth to them, what I have already not thought and understood back when I wrote this point. I don't want to delete it because I wrote it, but I also feel kind of ashamed. But I guess I'll just record it for the old time's sakes and for whatever I have kind of imagined in that time. But after a year, I'm talking about it because I had a lot of other things to record, talk, and edit and all. Now I'm getting time and I'm finishing it all. And also because it might be beneficial to some people in some other way that they might not be knowing already. Starting with the general points. First one, data is not that expensive. You might have seen the opposite of this topic in a lot of videos, and you might also assume it intuitively that since everything is expensive there in some or other way, then the data would also be expensive. But what I realized is not that expensive. In like now at this moment, in like 10 euros, let's say in 10 euros, you can get enough data for whole of your month. I know with respect to Indian money, it would be a lot, but to the way that money works here, it's not that much. Next point, good internet. Related to that, by good internet, I mean faster internet than India, obviously. In a lot of non and remote places, you will obviously not get that fast internet. But if you are somewhere in the city, in good enough amount of location of city, you'll get faster internet compared to how much internet you'll get for the same amount of advanced city in India. Next point, less population. That is already seen in the data, and less population. It really surprised me when I came here. I thought it's some kind of curfew festival or some specific thing, that is why there are so less people around. But with time I realized that there is always so much less people around on roads, on tram and everywhere. Sometimes it grows obviously in some specific concentrated locations given its festival time, so it will grow in church and all. If it is exam time, then it will grow around the universities and all. But in general, on roads everywhere, there is so less population compared to what I've grown in India. Next point, 3 kilometers take 5 kilometers by car. Doing both promoting bicycles and demoting cars or motor bicycles, because the route that you have to take to go from point A to point B will take 5 kilometers with car, bike, and it will just take like 3 kilometers with cycle because of the routes that they have designed. And you cannot drive on other lanes, and in the lane that you have to follow, or else you'll get extreme amount of challan, or I don't know what they call here, fine or something. So it's a very smart way. You just need not to promote one, you also need to demote other. And that's why I've seen a lot of people using cycles who does not have to commute for like 10 kilometers. For like 5 and 4 kilometers generally people use cycle, and that's very good thing to see. Next point, solar technology interconnects. In the documentation of your residence permit and all, you need to go here and there is solar technology. Basically the websites are not that properly made, the design is not that properly made, it is all in Italian first of all, no, not in English. They should also make in English. Now let us talk about the educational specific thing. First, knowledge density is high. The thing that professors teach in class, like in one class or two class, they will cover the syllabus that in India we might cover in a week or 2 weeks in just two class. And it's not like they're going with too high pace or they are just not skipping a lot of things. They do tell a lot of things, but it is so dense. Like they have structured their course, they have structured their class well enough. They have made their notes to teach in the class well enough. If you just miss 5 minutes of the class, the whole it will cascade to your whole class, and if you don't go at your home and recover, then your whole following class will face the domino effect. So the classes are dense. The thing that professor teaches is very dense. You'll have to be able to extract from the densely compressed files of the knowledge that they give, and that's a challenge for me because in our ways and the way that we have studied, that was not very densely packed. And that's why a lot of people, I guess, don't do classes here who are not properly trained to understand and learn in this densely way. And it's a problem, but I'm learning that. It's an also good thing. Go watch the Maneshwar video in which I talked about this thing very properly. Next point, student understanding oriented teaching. Very good thing. In India, what I noticed in a lot of in my school at least, and also some coachings and all, the teachers teach from their point of view. Mostly they are not that much concerned with student and how much they're studying and in which way they're understanding. Here most amount of people do the opposite thing. They try to understand students more than they actually want to teach the topic by asking questions. Not a generalized concept. I have had some professors who do the opposite way, just of the India thing. But the professors who are young enough, like 30, 40, they follow the new pattern and they try to teach to students from the student's point of view. Next point, Guru is not Brahma. Implicit respect. In India, even if you don't respect your teacher or professor, you'll have to show them that you respect. You'll have to do a lot of, let's say, illusionary or fancy things, bells and whistles, to prove that you respect, even if you are abusing them in behind their backs, or even if you don't respect them. in properly in your heart. But here it's not required. Guru is not Brahma. You're not required to like respect him that much. You can drink water in class without asking. That's not a problem. And you can also express respect without explicitly expressing respect. There are implicit ways to respect someone, and that's a very good thing, because I'm not very good at expressing respect explicitly. Students also learn to fake themselves, or learn illusions and manipulations way more than they learn the concept. If you'll do this kind of thing, then that will not be required to fake. Promoting visual learning, the use of memes and relatable things that students might be facing in their life, especially with respect to college. I have heard from some of my friends from good college of India's who use very traditional theoretical and non-visual ways of teaching. And again, human mind is designed in a way to learn visually, so we have eyes, we should use that in learning as well. Next point, फल बाद में बताएंगे, पहले कर्म. Mostly it happens that professors, while teaching a topic, they don't even tell you the phal or the outcome, they just tell you the process, and in the end they tell about the outcome. And the concept of karm karo phal ichha mat karo, or non output based processing, is implicitly done by this way, because you are only learning about process way more than you are learning about output. In India it is done opposite. You are first given a question and then you are told how to solve a question. Here definitions come later. If you go and watch the grand suggestion video of whose image probably I'll stick here, so that is properly done here. Most of the time it is done here, but again I have found some examples who don't do this. Again, the same concept of old and new teacher. Now coming to the positive and negatives, I'll just point out from my point of reference. First one, negatives, because I start with negative. No UPI, not that good banking. I know they have already set up a good amount of NFC and card functionality everywhere, that they don't need UPI, and if you don't need anything, you don't invent that thing. But the card thing that is around here, I think UPI is better than that, with respect to being implemented by poor shopkeepers or who are not on that large scale, and also being accessible from the consumer point of view, and also with respect to environmental factors. Obviously, it is way easier and cheaper to print something on a paper, a QR code, and stick it on your shop and then properly clean it, biodegradable, compared to having a whole machine of being able to read NFC and all. So UPIs are better than what they already do here. Next point, way to physical paperwork. Technology is very less here, and that's why there's a lot of physical paperwork. You will have to actually sign and do all those things of paperwork. I'm already not good at documentation, but compared to India, how Aadhaar card is made and how other documents I have made, my passport and all, you don't have to do this much of physical paperwork. Again, not good for environment. They mail you physical document of something with respect to doctors if you have some problem. There is good amount of mailing communication that is involved here, but it is not that well with respect to being quick and responsive. If you mail something, then just forget about it for a week, then you'll probably get a reply. But if you actually go there and do the physical thing, then it will be fast. That should not be the case. You are not promoting one thing and demoting other thing. You are doing the opposite way. So you don't just have to introduce technology, you'll also have to enforce it, and it is not done very properly here. Next point, Amazon and Flipkart are not very popular. I don't even know if Flipkart is just India based or not. Amazon is good enough popular here, but not as popular as it is in India. It is in India, it is so much popular. So I should not say it is not very popular here. I should say that in India it is very popular. So India is probably a bigger market, not just with respect to population, but with respect to people actually using it. Next point, a lot of cycle thefts, and that is actually a good thing, because I have talked about it with some people, and that's what they said, that since the thieves cannot steal anything big like car or bike very easily, therefore they are just only left with cycles to steal and make some money to have their life and run their life. Kind of a good thing that thieves are so limited and they are so tied up by the enforcement of government or whatever it is, that they are only limited to cycles to steal. But again, except for the cycle theft, there are a lot of scams that goes around with respect to housing and all. That is again very sad to see. So thieves are not actually getting bad with respect to their work of creating chaos, but the police is getting good enough, or is better than India at least. Next point, English is not much popular even in offices. I should already understand that English won't be that popular, given that it's not an English country. But even in offices, if you go to post office, if you go to like police station, if you go to banks, then there must be a lot of English. I can understand in local shops there might not be someone who speaks English, but with respect to these large places or the places where a lot of international students might come, given that they have made the university international, they're calling international students, there should be more English. There is so less English penetration. Some of the sad thing to see is that not only the older generation is not well educated with in English, but also the newer generation. And it's not like they cannot, but they don't want to, because of some orthodoxical thoughts. That is way too much opposite of India. In India, people are so much obsessed with English. So the state of India is also not good. being too obsessed with English, and the state of here is also not good as for me. This is not is being completely opposite to English. You should be just be indifferent to it. It's just a language. You should learn it if you can. Okay, now let's start with the positives. First one is tablet in form filling and banking. Technology is not that well introduced, but wherever it has been introduced, it is very well implemented. And in all of the banks wherever I went, in post office, in nearly all of the places, the form filling that is done in India, this is one of the thoughts that I thought about in India when I was in India, to do some startup kind of thing with government and all that funny thing. Next point, regenerative braking in trams. You must have already know about regenerative braking from Tesla and a lot of electrical vehicle. Like basically when you brake your system, your car, your bus, your whatever, then you also generate energy instead of just wasting energy. In trams, I got to know that here all of the trams that there are, they have regenerative braking, and that's a very good thing to know. You're saving energy, you're saving environment, blah blah. Good. Next point, advanced maps and place nomenclature. Maps are very advanced compared to India. You can zoom in more and with more clarity because of the government law thing, pixel per inch. And also the nomenclature of the locations are good. If you know address of a house, you can just put in the map and you can go to that house. You don't need to send location on WhatsApp. You can just know the address and you know the location. The nomenclature of houses, buildings and streets are so well around here. Next point, people do their job as their job. People are like properly focused, whoever are. Again, I'm not talking about anything in general. Whatever I experienced in most amount of cases, when people do their job, they do their job, they're very serious about it. They're not doing any favor for you. They realize that they're just doing their job, and that's why they're not in that attitude that they're doing a favor for you. They do their job as their job. कोई एहसान नहीं कर रहे हैं. I guess the ways of implementing incentives in humans to do their job is well done by the enforcement of the country here. Next point, no price tag on product. That is very sad thing to see, because I have seen various supermarkets and local shops also changing the price of the products based on how people are reacting to the product in the current time. That is way too current time, and that's not good for people, because if there would be MRP kind of thing marked on the product as it is done in India, then the seller would have less power and how they can manipulate the people, and people can also know the actual value of the product and they can compare it in different shops as it is done. I try to make some graph or find the optimized shops or find the cheapest shop. It was chaotic to do that, because one shop increase the price, the other time they decrease. It's a whole game that they play around. Yeah, overall these are all the point. I know this video is very chaotic. I did not even make it properly because I did not wanted to make it. I just made it because I already wrote the points. Well, that's all for this video. Have a good day. Very short video. I did not even want to make it, but anyhow, have a good day. Enjoy.